Hey, good morning and welcome to the JeepSolid Garage. My name is Dale and we are going to continue on with this 4.0 engine rebuild. We've got a few things to do, so let's get started. As you can see, it's right where it is, where we left off with the last update on it. I just got those motor mounts in. So today we're going to focus on getting the exhaust manifold, intake manifold. Hopefully we have time to do the power steering pump there. I'll try to get the starter down in there, maybe the alternator on. So quite a bit to do. Hopefully we can get to all this today and we're just one step closer to getting this thing started. Now let's see, where is my starter? Here we go. I've tried to keep everything organized really well so that when it comes time to put this back together, I know where stuff is at. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I'm all about helping you guys with Jeep repairs, your own maintenance, saving yourself a lot of money by doing this stuff yourself, so be sure to subscribe. And here's our starter, just two little bolts on it here to mount, and then right here the power to the starter. Let's go clean that up a little bit though, it's looking a little rough. I am going to try Gunk's engine cleaner and degreaser. They give me this free of charge just to test out, so let's see how it works. So yeah, that cleaned up pretty good. All right, we're going to torque these two bolts, this upper one at 40 foot-pounds, this lower one at 30. And finally, we'll hook up the wiring. All right, we got the starter in. We also got the grounds hooked up. The grounds right there to the engine block. So what do you say we move on to the manifolds? The exhaust manifold, intake manifold, let's take care of that. So I have this replacement manifold here. If you remember in one of my previous videos, the exhaust manifold on this project Jeep was cracked, almost cracked in half. Frequent problem on these older YJs. So I got my replacement here, and this one, the thing I like about it, and the reviews on it, it has these flex points in it so that if there's extra stress on it at all, it'll absorb a little bit of that here. So hopefully that'll help prevent some of the cracking that happens on these exhaust manifolds. So I'll be sure to include a link to this one in the description below. Check that out and let's install it. So I obviously have the gasket surface all cleaned up real nice. And you can see here we have a stud on each side and then 9 holes for our bolts to go in. So let's get going. And obviously the exhaust manifold here and the intake manifold, they share the same gasket. So that's why if you replace your exhaust manifold, you have to do the intake as well. So now with the exhaust manifold in place, we're going to put this one bolt in up here, just finger tight, get this guy started. And now these bottom 4 bolts right here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're really hard to reach because you have to kind of find them blindly. So what we're going to do, being that we can see them right now, we're going to just get them started here and pull the washer back on these guys. So now we've got all 4 of these bottom bolts in with the washers on them pulled back. So with that, we can take the intake manifold we're going to just slip it down into place here over the top of those bolts we've installed already. There's two little studs on the bottom. Let me try to show you those. So there's two little studs right there, one on each side. You got to make sure you get those in place. And then we're going to just slip it over the top of those, and it should slide right into place. And that way you're just not fishing around trying to find those bolt holes on the bottom. There we go. So it just makes it a little bit easier for getting those in place. And there is a torque sequence you have to use on these manifolds. So there's a look at what's described in my Chilton manual. So it's a little difficult to torque these properly, but with a combination of extensions and elbows and things, you can get in there and get the job done. So let's bust that out real quick. I'm trying to find my torque wrench here. All right, so we got all that done. So let's move on to getting the power steering pump, alternator, all the vacuum lines, fuel rails. If you have any questions on how this stuff goes back together, refer back to my earlier videos where I disassemble this, and it's the reverse of disassembly. Assembly, reverse of disassembly. So let's bust this out real quick. All right, and with that, we've made a lot of progress on this thing. Just a few more things to do. We've got to get the belt on there, the rad installed, filled up with fluid. We'll put the distributor on there, our wires. Not very much more to do. We are almost there. In the meantime, check out my next video right up here. I'm going to take a break for a little bit. Thank you guys for watching.